Welcome to the Databricks Skill Builder series. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, so I'm Zach Jacobson. Colton and I developed this Databricks app today. We're going to kind of go a little backwards. We're going to start with the end in mind with the app, and we'll show the architecture kind of behind it. Just wanted to say, this is all a real demo, so it's live. So we're being vulnerable, so bear with us if something happens. I'm crossing fingers. So let's get into it. So today, this is going to be the manufacturing equipment assistant. And picture you're the persona of a maintenance technician. The goal for the technician every day is to get equipment or machines back online as fast as human possible, right? So why and how can they do that, or how can they do that? It's going to be this app, right? And the value adds are several points. So first one being is if the average equipment takes 1 or 2 days to get back online, or even a business day of 8 hours, we think we can reduce that to as little as 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours with this app. The second one is just labor force planning. So let's say it takes 1.5 people to fix equipment. We think we can get that down to at least just one person without that person having to go and asking Joe, hey, Joe, what was the last thing you did in this equipment 3 weeks ago? Or how do I read the specification? So you get the point, right? So with that being said, this is showing everything on the platform. And I think differentiator here is it's all governed within Uni Catalog, and we have the full stack: Lakebase, dashboards, Genie, Agent Bricks, everything. And I don't think any platform can do that and actually govern all of the assets at the same time. So that being said, let's get started. So I'm a technician for the day. I'm coming in to come do my day job, and I come to this view. My name is Alex Thompson, and I see basically this is a equipment that I own in kind of a plan grid view, and I immediately see these different machines. And I notice this red, right? And I can see it's this lathe that I own. And we're like, okay, why is it red? So we click on it. Those three, that 3 number is actually the work orders that I've been assigned for that machine. And it's actually going to pull up the highest priority work order so that I know that is what I need to work on immediately when I come in for the day. That's one of the pain points that techs experience. What do I work on today? It's just a wild, wild west. So we can go over here too. And these are all the work orders that Alex Thompson assigned. But rather than that, let's go dive into some cool views. So the first one is just kind of a high-level guide, and this kind of goes over some high-level safety information for the lathe, the CNC lathe, some specifications, and standard operating procedures. Those are pretty standard. They're easy, right? But the really cool thing that I think will be the wow factor here is going to be this AR view. So I'm going to click on this, and we're actually going to render a CNC lathe machine in a 3D AR view. And this would be coming off of a SolidWorks document. You can go hover over the different kind of parts. We're going to talk about this spindle assembly today, but this is really crucial for technicians to be able to guide them and assist them to visualize the problem, right? So we go over here and navigate. We can see that this work order has been created, and we have the spindle bearing replacement. So it looks like the spindle temperature had elevated over a certain temperature, and now we got to go replace this bearing. So what do we need, right? We need parts. So this automatically pings against Lakebase, and it's going to say, hey, we need to order parts based off of our safety stock and go order them. So rather than going to a different system, let me just order the request, send the request off, and I'm going to navigate to Slack and give it up to Colton, my inventory manager, to talk through this.
As an inventory manager, I receive a notification in Slack that I have a parts request from Zach. So I see this, I fulfill it, I run an update on my backend that this order has been fulfilled, and I ping Zach and let him know and pass it back over to him.
Thanks, Colton. So I'll refresh the screen and notice that the quantity is sufficient now. We now have the inventory. The parts have landed in our bay for us to go and install. So for the sake of time, I'm going to fire off this so you don't have to wait for the agent bricks, but I'll minimize that. I'll show it in a second. But these are the work order instructions. These are written. They're pretty standard for machines. They can be tailored by the maintenance manager. But I'm going to go through these and say, okay, I know how to do steps 1 through 5. But now I get to step 6, right? And that says install new bearings with proper preload. So I'm a new tech. I'm like, what's proper preload, right? And so I want to go look at the historical work orders, right? So I'm going to ask this assistant. I'm going to go just show you the real-time ML flow. You can go see it coming in right now. Go back to here. Oops, go back to here. And we've got 3 work orders or returns. But I noticed the last work order was completed by this Alex Lee guy. Oh, that happens to be a guy I work with. And it looks like he had confirmed and the work order closed. And it said, I verified that the force should be at 45 PSI. That's great. So I can use this. I can go copy that. I'll just go put that in the comment, check that off. And I get to this next one. And it says, okay, now I'm ready to reassemble and test the run out of the spindle. So I can go into here and I'm like, okay, like that's great, but I want to calibrate and make sure that the bearing that I've installed is in coordinates with what it should be, right? So I can fire off the second question. That's going to go route to our multi-agent supervisor again. And we'll refresh the screen. It takes about 15, 20 seconds with kind of the network latency. But as I can refresh this, right, you can see the value of having this multi-agent supervisor assist this tech in real time, right? So I refresh it. There it is. It brings me back the coordinates. And the coordinates are X, Y, and Z axis of 0.8 and 0.5. So I'll do that, copy it in. Okay. My work order has been ready to basically send off and complete. But before I do that, I'm going to take a quick picture. I'm just going to show myself for a second. This would obviously be like an iPhone on the floor, taking a picture and being able to annotate what I did of the bearing. But this is really cool because it's actually integrated with Unity Catalog as well. I can draw on it, and I can write text, and then I can hit OK. And I actually can save this, and it's going to go to a Unity Catalog volume. And I can now use this back into Databricks, the multi-agent supervisor, by syncing this and having actual discussion with images with the text. This is one of the examples that I'm about to show you, the spindle assembly, right? So this third question, just showing off the agent brick, is I'm actually going to ask the question against that image, and it's going to go grab that image that we put in the workflow and be able to talk to the annotations, which is really cool. For the sake of time, I'm going to let that one run. I'm just going to go ahead and close this work order out. And what will happen is it will render the floor map of the new view with my updated status. And that 3 work orders goes to 2. Awesome. So now I'm going to switch over to the maintenance manager view, and Colton's going to go over that.
Sure. So as a manager at a high level, I want to be able to understand what open work orders we have for the day, which ones are high priority, who they're assigned to, and what the current status of them are. So this is integrated with AIBI dashboards in the same application. And I can see on the back end what work orders are open, who they're assigned to, etc. I can do the same with parts if we navigate to that view. And I'm able to see how many open requests we have for parts, which ones are high priority or not, as well as the number of requests we're getting on a day, where they're going typically, etc. So previously, there was a lack of traceability with this. I didn't have a way to see how many open work orders I had. I had to directly message people. There were spreadsheets floating around. This gives me a nice centralized location, so I know exactly what's going on the floor at a given time. It's also integrated with Genie, so if I have further questions about anything that I see in these visuals, I'm able to ask a question, and it will give me a simple response. At a high level, if we'll go to the architecture view. Okay, so at a high level, this is what our architecture looks like under the hood. So we have IoT sensors on the floor that are streaming in events via Zero Bus, and we are being processed by Lakeflow declarative pipelines. These are compared against historical thresholds so that if our temperature goes above what we expect and we need to generate a work order, we're able to do so. Loading in data via autoloader from an ERP system for scheduled work orders as well as safety information. And then the machine specifications, the drawings are being adjusted into Unity Catalog volume. We're processing this with Lakeflow declarative pipelines into Lakebase, which serves as the backend for Databricks apps. We have all the things that Zach walked through in the demo, as well as this piece, the image data that is then being parsed and fed back into a volume. The chatbot that he was showing is a multi-agent supervisor, which governs a Genie space, a maintenance knowledge assistant that's predicated on these PDFs that we ingested here, a floor image knowledge assistant that is predicated on the image data coming from the floor images, as well as a few different Unity catalog functions. And that's our architecture at a high level.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.